Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Going back a bit, 80s. If anyone can tell me what this jam is, here in the Monday Night Football edition of the Mexican Soccer Show.
It's quite the intro.
Should just play this for an hour.
All right, guys, let's go and get started. Give you guys a little bit of 80s pop, Mexican 80s pop.
It's definitely not the Ramones.
Welcome to our edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wisa from Mex Nation. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, bringing you a little 80s pop. Give up, con todos menos conmigo, little Timbiriche. Cesar wasn't born by that time.
I was born like 1998, so.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. We have lots and lots and lots to talk about. Mexico just got done playing its World Cup qualifier. The last games of 2006. How many games was that? 16, 17 games? Something like that?
Yeah, I think 15.
There it is. There's the chorus. You hear right that. Then we'll talk about what happened in Panama, maybe even throw in some United States, U.S. soccer news if you haven't heard. Klinsmann is gone. Very sad news for Mexican fans.
I'm a little bummed out.
I'm a little bummed out too. Great to have him on there. And obviously, big news. Libertadores. Well, just mentioned a little bit about kind of hear the thoughts from the guys here with Mexico out of the Libertadores. So many years, I think 18 years too, right? Around that we've had Mexican clubs trying for the glorious Libertadores Cup. And we'll be talking all about the Liguilla. It's finally here. We've been talking about the last 3-4 weeks, who's going to come in or not. And finally, yes, very interesting games. I don't think there's one that you don't want to miss. Or there's usually a game where you're like, well, that one I can kind of miss, but it's gonna be great, and we'll be talking all about it. But first, let's say hi to the guys, Mr. Tom Marshall. How's it going, Tom?
Yo, not bad, yeah. Yeah, busy. Good though. You want to be busy, don't you?
Back, well, traveling last 2 weeks, traveling there, Columbus now. Back in Panama, now back in Guadalajara.
Yeah, full on Liguilla. Went to the, obviously Classico Nacional. Went to Chivas today. Check out the atmosphere. Everyone's pretty relaxed down there at the training. So, yeah, obviously another massive week for for Mexican football. So at the end of the day, that's what we want, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, massive week for Mexican football because the NFL is in Mexico today too. Man,
yeah.
I felt a little weird about sending out the hashtag Monday Night Football. I was like, is that
right? I think tonight is an actual Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. Cesar, who is joining us from San Diego, Mr. Cesar, you're excited to get to see some games in the Liguilla.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
The
year that I show up, they suddenly decide to make it to the playoffs. So I'm thrilled. I'm very excited. It's gonna be the first time ever I'm gonna be seeing in Liga MX playoffs, soccer, live, like right in front of me. So that's gonna be, man, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, glad to be here. Glad to be chatting with you guys. A little problems with my computer, so I'm using my phone. So I feel like the angle is weird. So like my hands are just gonna be like, I even know what to do. Like I don't even know, like I should lean in. Maybe I'll just do like the chat though, like this close the whole time. I don't know. We'll figure out as we go. Just because it's the first time using my phone.
Nice. Well, we got the game. What, Wednesday? I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wednesday. Wednesday. Yeah, it's gonna be Wednesday in Leon, and Saturday we're traveling down to Tijuana. So
Tijuana, we're gonna be at the Estadio Caliente, the hot stadium.
Warm, hot,
spicy.
It definitely gets warm down there.
Yeah, that was awful in English. No.
All right. And Naive is trying to join us. He was supposed to come on, but he's having some issues, and I don't even think we all kind of had issues at the beginning. So sometimes YouTube, and I think we're the only people that use this. By the way, no one uses this program anymore. on Google Talks and Hangouts. So hopefully we're still using. They were supposed to take it away, but let's go ahead and get started.
What do people use?
Saying hi to everybody on the chats already. The M Guy 24 and Giovanna Sanchez, the first ones on. I don't even know how they got the link. We didn't have the link. They're already there. Joanna Dos Santos is joining us on the chat apparently.
Hey, Gio, what's going on?
What's up, Gio?
What's going on, Gio?
David
Regular.
Copeland, Joel, and then Joel Bats, not to be confused. So lots and lots. Somebody's already invited me. I should go to Tijuana to go see Leon lose. We'll see. All right, well, guys, lots. We started a little late, so let's get right to it. Like we talked about. Let's just go over a little bit over Mexico. We need a chance to talk about the tie that we saw. 4 points, and I guess overall, guys, 4 points in the World Cup qualifying at the end, to start off in the Hex. If you would have told me 2 months ago Mexico getting 4 points is that good or bad, I would have signed it. Let's do it. 4 points. It just kind of this bittersweet, yeah, we got the job done. The Hex, I feel like we don't learn as fans that this is how it goes. It's tough going over there. Central America is a tough place to play, no matter what team it is. You're not guaranteed a result just because of the camiseta. The U.S. lost against Guatemala. We barely won in Honduras, recently. So
El Salvador.
El Salvador. I mean, they're all tough place to play, and going into Panama expecting to win, 2-0, even though the momentum from the Mexico-U.S. game kind of got us towards that. The way that they played, one of the best games that I've seen, Mexico play under Osorio too. But at the same time, what was your reactions? And now that Mr. Naive Moran, Naive, really quick, how's it going? You got in. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear. All right.
Can you hear me? No, that's an Enrique Iglesias song, isn't it, or something like that? No, but we had technical difficulties with getting in and everything. But it's the start of the Liguilla. A lot of stuff's going on in Mexico City with the other football going on, the one that we don't like. But yeah,
hey, I like it.
It's all right. It's all right.
But everything good over here. We saw Tom Cesar. Good to join you this evening.
Good. All right. Well, David, thanks for joining us, Naive. So let's go ahead and get started. Your thoughts over the Panama game. We talked a lot about the U.S. game. Let's go with Tom. Tom, you're there in Panama. Give us something that we don't know about this. We're looking at it on TV. We're seeing it, scrappy football, bad pitch. It just, it rained. The practices. I mean, it does a tie. Is it okay in your book?
Yeah, it's more than okay. I think it's a good result. I mean, it was an ugly game. I mean, it wasn't very enjoyable to watch. The pitch was cutting up all over. I think the only other thing to point out there, we saw, is that, you got a real sense from being down there that Panama adamant, the fans are dreaming. They're dreaming of Russia. They believe they've got a team that's good enough to, take one step further than they did 4 years ago and actually make it. And they're a tough team. I wouldn't say they're a really good team, but they've got the certain qualities. The physical. I think they made it a physical game. They made it their game. I mean, Bolillo Gomez. I think he set out a plan and it worked for him. The positive for Mexico, from my point of view, I mean, there were a lot of negatives. It didn't flow. It didn't go. The game didn't go at all like Osorio would want it to have gone. I think that's a game that he can easily lose. That game. It's really easy to lose 1-0. Considering the atmosphere, considering the pitch, considering everything, considering you're coming from Columbus where you've got nearly freezing temperatures, and going into really hot, humid country, it's not easy. Yeah. But I thought, like, mentally, in the US game we talked about the mental strength of the Mexican team, and now they seem to have gathered themselves after that Chile game. And I think we saw that in Panama. I thought they were resilient. I thought they, fought for every single ball. They scrapped. And if you're going to take something out of that game from a positive point of view for Mexico, it's that. It's that they were so determined to get a result. And at the end of the day, they got it. And like you said there, we saw 4 points from 2 really difficult away games is really excellent from the first 2 games of the qualifying.
And for those who don't understand, I mean, we're looking at a team that has never been in the World Cup. Panama is nowhere in the world rankings, as a tough. But it says that it's not. Explain to the people that really don't. This is the first time as the Hex how important a point away is, and we're not making it because we want, all positives for Mexico.
Yeah, I mean,
but a lot of people just don't understand that.
I mean, you have to take into consideration. Let's look at what happened last time around. Last time it took Mexico about 4 games to surpass the 4 points in World Cup qualifying. Mexico has already done that in 2 matches, in 2 away matches. And I think the most important thing about, let's say, the first away match against the United States is you could say that first away match against the U.S., that was arguably the toughest match that Mexico is going to have in the Hex. I would say that is by far maybe not by far, but that is probably the most difficult match they're going to run into. And when you look forward to March, they're going to one of those 2 matches is going to be at home. So I think it puts Mexico on the right track. I think the game against Panama wasn't the most exciting match, and it's not how anybody wanted to end 2016. I think that was a problem as well, especially after beating the U.S. men's national team. A lot of people felt very hyped and excited, and that 0-0 draw wasn't how they wanted to end the year for the national team. But I still think it's a wonderful result. I think it's as I mentioned, it's just last time it took Mexico more than 4. It took them 4 games to reach past 4 points. Now all it took them was just 2, and I think it just, like I said, it just sets them up for an easier path towards the World Cup.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think it's just the setting as well, like Tom was describing. I mean, I think, of course, these are professionals that should be able to play in any setting, but I think that does play a role. I mean, for example, Jonathan had a poor first half because he just couldn't get the hang of the ball. I mean, it was just bumpy all over the place. And Rafa Marquez also had difficulties there. I think those are certain details that have to be noted. The ball boys also were doing their game on the sidelines. I mean, this is CONCACAF. It's pretty crazy how everything works out. And I like what Osorio said at the end of that match. Is sort of, if we can get 4 points out of each of these dates, at least the max 4, 1 win, 1 draw. I mean, that's good, especially looking at that it was 2 away games. Now I think the main challenge will be to retain back that home field advantage. I don't know if it will be in Estadio Azteca or it will be in Estadio Chivas or Monterrey, wherever, but I think Mexico has to make the home field advantage count this time because last hexagonal was horrific.
And I mean, analyzing the game, it looked like Panama was ready to tie. I mean, they weren't going forward. Being at least Central America games, they usually try to attack, but even Panama, Bolillo Gomez, very, very, 9 in the back, not attacking at times in the second half. It looks like they're both ready to just, not get injured in that pitch. Players not playing their full potential, just kind of, all right, let's just tie and get that 1 point.
I think the tie was a good result for not only just Mexico, but for Panama as well. I think they were fairly happy with that. And it looked like, I mean, I don't know if I was confusing with some of the stuff from beforehand, but at least, I don't know, from Tom, what you saw, like, it seems like a lot of those fans are really excited after the match and were pretty happy with the result, right?
No, yeah, I mean, for them as well, it's 4 points. From 2 very difficult games, they went to Honduras and won. And I think that really opened it up. So, yeah, I mean, for both teams, I think it was a good result. Yeah, the other thing I'd say about the atmosphere is that, everyone goes on about Columbus and, I think from the US side, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be so intimidating and that's why Mexico lose. And, from being there last time, I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second. I think that, for example, the cold is a factor. It's freezing. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that is complicated. But I'm not buying that this atmosphere of 23,000 people is in a really nice pitch. Really nice hotel, really nice coach that takes you to the stadium. There's no fans kind of surrounding the bus, throwing beer and trying to smash the windows like what I saw in Honduras. And it's the fans aren't there like in Panama, you know what I mean? With that intensity. The pitch in Panama was awful. I mean, honestly, I think it's much harder to go to Panama in those conditions. It had been raining for like 7 hours before the game than it is to play in Columbus.
Well, we've seen
honestly
that.
after having seen both,
and we've seen why. One of the reasons when we look at the losses against the United States is mostly the coaches changing. We weren't having every time it looked like Mexico was playing the U.S. was under something. It's maybe La Volpe 2005, but other than that, I mean, the changes in Aguirre, the changes that you had with I think Dan not coming in, so. You could definitely see Osorio and Herrera. We're talking that there was no hot water after the game. Little things. At 2:00, they had a whole firework display outside the hotel, which, the travel, and it's right after one of the games. Like I said, I would love to have a win. Who wouldn't? But a tie. Now, if it was a loss, if it won 0, then we'd be like, all right, well, we want to make sure we get some. But we took some points away, which is what you're supposed to do. Win at home, take some points away. We took 4 points away in those 2 games.
I think it's
against Panama.
Yes, Cesar, you say your thought.
Oh, just really quickly, I was just going to touch on what what we said earlier. Like, regardless of how well they played, regardless of who did had an excellent job, who did poorly, like Lisa said, if someone would have told me Mexico was going to get 4 points out of these 2 matches, I would have signed up in a second. Would have been, this is ideal for Mexico, and it's probably an ideal for Osorio as well.
Yeah, I mean, and then if we want to be really iffy about certain decisions, maybe the Diego Reyes playing as a right back was that a brilliant idea? Having Layun there or Dueñas, Dueñas, who came in the second half, he did decent job, I'd say. And then the Raul Jimenez on the right wing, when you had Chucky and Tecatito on the bench, I think with those tight defenses, because look, this is something we're going to point out. Both teams that Mexico played against were defensive. The U.S. started a back line of 5. Panama played 10 players in the back the whole game. They were the home teams. I mean, this doesn't make sense. I mean, it's just, if you're home, you're supposed to be the one that is going to proponer in the match. And Mexico has to play this. This is going to be in every single game, what we saw in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And you got to find solutions. I don't think Raul Jimenez playing as a right winger is a solution. I think the winners in these matches were Vela and Tecatito because they were able to break apart those tight defenses with their gambeta and so forth. That's what I think. I mean, it's just something to be a little bit critical. It's not bad. I mean, I do 4 points out of 6. That's excellent.
No, but it says let's be critical. I mean, it looked like there was just no way. Osorio just didn't have any way to get the bunker down over there in Panama. And here comes the games wherever they're going to be, if they're going to be Azteca or not, which are going to be complete bunker ball. And I just have not seen what is Osorio going to do. And what is his solution to that? Or his solution is to just try to qualify with a tie too, which would be smart. But at the same time, it's a little alarming. Again, Reyes out, Jimenez out of position. How many games is he going to know that just is not working? I like that Herrera didn't start, right? But then it looked like it was so everyone was not understanding what Osorio wanted to do. That all right, bring back Herrera so we can bring a little bit of control in the midfield because there was nothing there. Rafa again is just seen he wasn't doing anything. So interesting to note on what's coming up next, which is Costa Rica, a team that just demolished the United States. Is I think responsible for what's happening. And then recent news is Jurgen Klinsmann finally out. But the U.S. going into Costa Rica. I've always heard that the United States have wanted to do 2 things. One, win in the Azteca and win in Costa Rica, and they have not been able to do either. And now, as you saw, the United States I even switched to the other game just to see what was happening. A beautiful
game. I think the US, what's gone on in the last couple of weeks, it puts everything in perspective about Mexico as well. Because if that had been Osorio, then he probably would be gone now.
Yeah,
and it's just he just a call to prayer.
No, that's the tamales oaxaqueños. There, everything is coming out nicely today.
Nice. That's how you know.
That's an excellent microphone right there. That's a great microphone you got.
All right, guys. Well, let's just kind of finish up the Hex Talk. Surprised on Costa Rica, Mexico, Panama, Mexico with 4 points, Costa Rica with 6 points, and then everybody else. The U.S., which I don't think they're in trouble. They could. I mean, it could get trouble.
It's still really early to really make too many assumptions. It's only been 2 matches. We still got. I mean, everyone has such a really long time to prepare for the next matches in March.
It feels like it's a long time, but by the 6th game, that's pretty much it. You have 5-6 games in order for you to get to, I think, 15 points. After that, you're gambling.
All I'm saying is that a lot can still go wrong for Mexico, and a lot, of course, there's still plenty of time, and I think that it's still. I mean, obviously, what Mexico has done, what Costa Rica has done, what Panama has done, that's a perfect start, and if anything, that's going to give them a nice little boost and probably like helped it obviously at the end. But
I really hope Costa Rica goes into the Azteca. I mean, just proud with 6 points and tries to, attack. I want to see that Costa Rica. I want to see that World Cup Costa Rica team really go in there and
well, if it's going to be in the Azteca.
Yeah, well, we'll see where it goes. All right, guys. That's our World Cup qualifying. No more until February. Mexico versus Iceland on Wednesday, February 7th, something like that.
Well, we'll all be there in Vegas.
We'll invite everybody. We have a Mexican soccer show live. We'll try to do something. We'll have a lot of fun. It's going to be great against Iceland. Right? I mean, everyone was making a big deal about Iceland during the Euros last year. I mean, how far they made it. You can't call this a Molero against horrible weak teams when these guys look how far they went in the Euro. I mean, this is a good team.
It should be a nice match considering how they start their seasons. I don't know. Maybe they'll be like in preseason or something because of the weather over there in Iceland.
Anybody know the Icelandic season? See how it goes.
Don't they all play in Scandinavia? I have no idea. I have no idea.
In Reykjavik, they're laughing at my pronunciation. All right, guys. All right, let's go. Jump in Libertadores. I really want to hear from Naive about Libertadores. When I was hearing these the news about a week ago, that we might not be like, nah, there's no way. There's so much money. Mexico is part of it. I just have to say there are no winners. I'm upset, but at the same time, I'm glad that we were able to stand up. But sad news. Mexico's teams are not going to be in the Libertadores, something that we all look forward to. It's kind of like you don't know what you have until it's gone. When you have some teams going, okay, well, we'll go ahead and focus on some of that. But Naive, who wins? Nobody wins. I don't think the CONMEBOL is happy. I don't think Mexico's happy. I think the fans are the only ones that lose. There's no one going that benefit from either.
No, I think it's horrible news to close out the year because I think Tom noted it in his article on ESPN FC is the fact that it was a good chance that it was going to be Chivas and America in the tournament, representing Mexico, and that hadn't happened, and I don't think that had ever happened, that the two biggest teams in Mexico were going to represent Mexico in this South American tournament. I think there's just a lot of convulsion between the fact that Mexico is in CONCACAF and they have to respect that they represent this region and they're the marquee league in the CONCACAF region. I mean, that's the case. And when you put the CONMEBOL tournaments, the Copa Libertadores, because it started with the Copa Sudamericana, Mexico got off that. The Copa Libertadores, now they got off that. I think it makes it a bad news because Mexico wasn't able to win that one, the Copa Libertadores. Yeah. And I think there was a chance that Mexico was nearing that moment. Tigres was really close just a couple of seasons ago.
We should have won at least one time in those 18, 19 years or whatever it is. At least one time. I think it looking back at it, we fell short not winning. I don't know if it was too much.
I think there's a few issues. Sometimes Mexican clubs didn't take it too seriously. That was an issue. But I think that was changing. I feel like there's a real rivalry over the last few years, especially, to become that first Mexican club. And that's why, for me, just with Chivas being in there, I think Chivas would just, Vergara said so many times that he wants to become the first Mexican team. He's got Almeida, somebody who's won the Libertadores before, who respects the tournament. So, I would have been fascinated to see how Chivas would have done. But also, there's no way you can replace it. In terms of finding quality competition to play against for Mexican club sides, there's just no way you can go. Yeah. And for me, that's the sad thing. Yeah, the Champions League. It's just that's the sad thing. Like, where do you replace that? You just can't. And I think it's sad. But I would say that I'm not coming out and blaming the Liga MX like some people are and saying, you should have done more. I think CONMEBOL, the way you dealt it with was awful. They sent a comunicado saying, Mexican teams can play the final at home.
Yay!
And everyone was like, yes, nice one, wicked. And then like a week later, it was like, we're changing the whole schedule as well. And it's like, but they didn't debate that with the Mexican teams. Now it's like, why not? Why wasn't this a dialogue that went on beforehand?
There's something going on.
I think that was a weird thing too, is that like, from my understanding as well, I didn't really look into too much, is that as Tom mentioned, like there was no discussion with those Liga MX club. They changed it from 27 to 42 weeks, and then after that, then CONMEBOL then had the discussion with FMF. And what is FMF going to say? And how quickly could they change their own schedule? Like, should they change their own schedule? It's just, I think it's a little difficult to blame Liga MX and FMF in that situation.
What is this conspiracies going on? Come on, there's got to be a reason. I don't believe that they just sent them a memo. Oh, by the way, we're going to change it. Like, I feel like there's going to be more news coming up. I don't know if it's televisoras and TV deals, Televisa not wanting Chivas to go. I don't know.
No, I think it's just CONMEBOL are like, why would we invite you? You're an invitee. You're not part of us. Why would you be part of the conversation? You know what I mean? But I mean, I think. Yeah, and I think the gamble from the Liga MX club sides now, and the reason why they said, let's see about 2018, is that they want to kind of almost challenge CONMEBOL and be like, all right, let's see how you do in terms of sponsorship, in terms of TV, without Mexico, and obviously the US market as well.
Well, we didn't get to see it. I think Tigres had it. And yes, of course, we could have blamed, but the whole home and away thing. But we should have won at least one tournament. Seeing teams like was mentioned on the chat, Ecuador, Paraguay, Colombia, teams that have leagues and teams that aren't as, I think, as good as, for example, at Tigres that we saw in 2015. So that's Libertadores. Hopefully this is just kind of a one-year thing and we're able to have them back. Maybe pay attention. Maybe this is what the teams need, pay more attention to these types of games. And who knows what's going to happen. But we were already losing in the first time, not having the very first team go. Usually there were so many stipulations for us to have our best team go. I understand, but at the same time, it was kind of frustrating how we were always not bringing our best teams going forward. But we'll see what's that. Any last thoughts on Libertadores before we move on?
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see what if there's a way Liga MX can compensate with some sort of interesting competition with Major League Soccer. It's not going to be on the same level, but it could at least be intriguing, or at least like strengthen that rivalry between Mexico and the US a little bit.
The Copa Champions, invite them to the Copa MX because that's boring.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea of going to the Copa MX. I like that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I'm not a big fan. I think what I'd do is change the CONCACAF Champions League. I think we need to open it up. A couple more Mexican teams, a couple more MLS teams. Open it up and make it the same as the Libertadores. You know what I mean? Make it go from February to November.
No, that could work too. Yeah. I like that one.
Do the group stage in the Clausura, and then the knockout stage in the Apertura. I mean, why not? It's ridiculous at the minute. You got all this. You got the MLS teams come in from preseason. You've got teams representing CONCACAF from Mexico, and they won the tournament like 9 months before or something. And it's like, if we did it in October, November, the final, then all of a sudden, it'd be that in a month or two you'd be going to the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
It'd be. I just think it. But obviously, it's easy to say these things. It's not going to replace the Libertadores. I mean, anybody who saw the final last time, Atlético Nacional, the atmosphere in that stadium, you're just not going to get that in CONCACAF.
Yeah, and then also all the other little details that we kind of don't like in this show is the money issues. I mean, the compensation and the business, the business part of things, and not business over sport, that kind of stuff. It does play a toll here. I mean, the televisoras might have played a role in Mexican clubs not being in the Libertadores as well.
Who's going to be in it? Chivas and Xolos. Right? Xolos was pretty much in.
Yeah, I think America was the other one. Yeah.
Chivas, it would have been great to have those three teams. Chivas, Xolos, America. It'd been
brilliant.
Can you imagine?
Until Tijuana got rid of like a few. Until they got rid of like a few players over the winter, and then they wouldn't be nearly as good in the Libertadores.
Boca come over, River come to Estadio Caliente.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'd make the drive, but no. Yeah. All right, guys, let's switch over to the big topic. How's the chat doing? What's going on? Talking about you got to go on the chat. I mean, they're talking about Geo and Herbalife supplements. You guys got to call. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the Liguilla. Liguilla is finally here. I'm just going to say it out there. León, even though someone said it, de panzazo again. No, Torrente, he got the team way in the back. We will go into the whole León thing in a minute. But, guys, I'm excited. I'm excited for these. All of the games, like I mentioned. Let's look it up to see our little graphic here. As you're able to see there, that's correct, right? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to make sure because I was like, wait a second. Just want to make sure.
Wait a second. What's Atlante doing there?
It just weirded me out a little bit seeing Leon up there. All right, guys. Your thoughts? Exciting football. Let's talk about the weekend and how we got there, and then obviously we talk about the league. Pumas and Tigres, León, Club Tijuana, Pachuca, Necaxa, and it's like whenever you have any Clásico Nacional, and you know what, I'm really looking forward to Clásico Nacional, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to all the other games too.
I think all these are really exciting matchups, and they're really tough. I think they're tough to predict as well. I think the only one for me that I could kind of see a little bit more of a clear winner is, I think for me at least, is the Pumas Tigres matchup. I think right there, that's I don't even say that it's extremely clear. I just think that Tigres will have a clear.
Is there going to be offense in that match? You know what? Scratch that. Let's talk about first before we go into it. Who is not there? And the fracaso of a season, and I'll mention this, Monterrey, which coming in, Tom, Mohamed, it looks like he's got this like little pattern. He goes into a team, sees how it is. Maybe doesn't make Liguilla, maybe he doesn't. Just gives a season. Then he goes in the second season, makes it to the final and wins, or at last time. And in the third season, it's like, I'm out. I'm checked out. Like this is the guy that Johnny, I wish he was on, that wants him for the national team. Like, it's huge fracaso what happened in Monterrey this season.
Yeah, I mean, Mohamed said, this about the personalities in the squad, and you look at some of the players. Edwin Cardona has been benched recently, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, Monterrey, for me, you could make the argument it's the best squad in the league. I mean, I know, Tigres have got an argument, Pachuca have got an argument, but to not make the playoffs is, it's a fracaso, like you said. I mean, they should be there. And let's see what they do now. I mean, obviously with the new stadium, with all these rumors about, the camp not being happy, the squad, the players not being really very united. I think that's shown on the field as well, by the way. Let's see with Monterrey, but it wouldn't be surprising me if there's a change there. I think the other fracaso is obviously Cruz Azul. God. I mean, again, when I'm talking about this, I'm considering, the wages that these teams play, the transfer fees that these teams play. It's like they spent more than Necaxa. They spent more than even Pumas. They should be doing better than they have this season.
I think it seemed like they had the lowest attendance. I'm pretty sure, if I was to make a guess, for the team that had like the lowest attendance at home, it was probably Cruz Azul. All those matches were just depressing to see. Yeah,
it's 5 consecutive seasons that Cruz Azul hasn't been in a Liguilla, and this one, it was kind of when they brought in Tomás Boy, there was this notion that his fire, his attitude, that he was going to be able to sort of bring blood, or I don't know what the word is, or bring some character into the team. And that wasn't the case. I mean, it just fell apart. Now I think what Cruz Azul should do is bring in a coach like Marcarian, who was this Uruguayan coach that just came from Uruguay and transformed the team. Someone that's not known in the area, because if they get Cardoso, for example, it's going back to the old story. I mean, that's worse than Tomás Boy, maybe.
It feels like the last 3 years we have been on Mexican Soccer Show, we can just tell it. What is wrong with Cruz Azul? And we've tried. Is it the coaches? Is it anything? It just has to be with administration. I mean, we've changed coaches. I think there was over 60 international players that came into Cruz Azul. 19 years of not being able to win a title. You said it. 5 years now. I mean, that's it. That club is no longer a top 4 in Mexico. Like we could dethrone it from it and throw another one in there, but. And even hearing the news already that some of the players are already out. Cubo Torres, or you mentioned Cubo Torres, but Massa Rodriguez.
Wait, he was on the team? Massa was on the team too? I didn't know that.
Guerrón, Victor Vázquez already, rumored out. There's not even a coach coming in.
Yeah.
And then these players are already out and spending so much. I mean, they spent so much. I mean, look what Massa did. And I'm not saying poor guy, but at the same time, thank you for allowing that goal in León. But it just goes to show, Cruz Azul. Even I know, right? We talk about Rayo Fracaso, but Jason's not on, and he's gonna hate for me for saying it, but it looks like almost like they need to get relegated so they can finally know, okay, you're done. Like you need something
And
else.
the thing about Rayados is I mean, it was a mixture of injuries, I would say, and also stuff that is going off the pitch between the coach and the players. You know, think about it. Last season, we were talking about Carlos Sanchez, Cardona, Pavon, and Funes Mori as the Fantastic Four. It was just 3 months ago. And then all of a sudden, they just fell apart, you know? And I think it all started once Carlos Sanchez went to the national team with Uruguay and missed the final. That's when everything started falling apart slowly but surely. And I think that's something that has to change. I mean, but at least the bright spot in Monterrey is that they have someone named Cesar Montes. You know, that you know, there's not that many young Mexican footballers being successful in Mexico in Liga MX this season.
I don't think Monterrey are far off. I mean, apart from Montes, you got this brand new stadium. You've got some brilliant players, you know, Carlos Sanchez especially. I don't think they're far off. It's just about selling a couple of them and getting in the right manager. But, you know, the rumours, obviously, of Vucetich to come back as kind of some kind of general manager as well. So that's something to keep an eye on in the off season.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about like teams that are missing the playoffs, I personally let me think that DeLuca should have been there. DeLuca, who I mean, on paper, they should have been able to. Like, I would have rather have seen a DeLuca than a Pumas, to be honest. I think I find him a little bit more excited, and they were just on paper they should have been able to beat Santos Laguna. I thought that was a simple answer for me. I looked at the schedule, I was just like, yeah, they could beat them, potentially sneak in, but I don't know. They just Santos decided to really step up in that last match of the season. But I think DeLuca's missing. I kind of wish that they're, like, as I mentioned, I wish that they were there instead of Pumas.
Well, there it is. See what we'll be following. Obviously, Cruz Azul. I keep thinking, you know, Chaco Jimenez is still one of the best players in that team. Like
his son is about to debut in the first team. Actually,
that's right. Yeah. They played together in a friendly recently, didn't they?
Yeah, in Houston.
Yeah, he scored, right?
Yeah.
No, scored no. I think he messed up his clavicle, actually. Fractured his clavicle in Houston.
Chaco Jimenez to go to the director, right? That way he keeps on going, you know, and then his kid's going to be there, take Llave de la Torre out. That's what that club needs. All right. Now we'll talk about the Liguilla. Who's in? Exciting. Once again, this graphic. All right, let's go game by game. I think we have enough time to see what's going on. Let's go with the with right off the bat, a Classico. Everybody, if I have to, even though these are all great games, the Classico, I'm sure, is going to be
a Classico on Thanksgiving. It's going to be,
yeah, man. Dude, those, as I mentioned on Twitter, I think those, at least here in the U.S., I would bet that Classico on Thanksgiving might be the most watched, like, the most watched club soccer game in the history of, like, U.S. television history. Because that was the last. I'm not even joking. No, because the last playoff game between those two teams was the most watched club soccer game in U.S. history. Now we have one on Thanksgiving. Yeah, man, everyone's gonna be at home watching that game. I think it's gonna surpass it.
Just the way you said it, it was like bloody Austin Powers or something.
Yeah,
you know,
it was like America's most watched game in America.
It's gonna be massive.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be the Washington Redskins versus Dallas Cowboy Thanksgiving.
Definitely.
All right. Let's talk about. Let's get into.
That's my only commentary on that. That's it. Next year.
All right, Naive, Mexico City, Tom, Guadalajara, both covering those teams. What are we seeing from that game? What do we need to know?
Well, I mean, I think Tom, you go first.
I don't know. I just think, obviously, you know, these teams met at the same stage of the Clausura. America scraped through. We were so tight. I mean, Carlos Peña had a penalty. And then, obviously, this season, Chivas have gone there, beaten America 3-0. I think they dominated them in the cup game, eventually winning on penalties. I mean, I can't split them. I can't split them at all. I'm actually very interested to see how La Volpe sets up his team, not just from a formation point of view, but also we saw in the cup, we saw in America that was kind of defensive. And I think from a Chivas point of view, just quickly before Naib answers that, we know what to expect because they've done it every time they've been to the Azteca recently. Chivas are going to go on the front foot. They're going to chase the game. They're going to try and exploit any space America can leave. and they're going to throw players forward. It's how Chivas plays. I think in terms of who Almeida's going to pick, I think there's a doubt over who is going to kind of complement Alan Pulido up front. Is he going to go with Carlos Pena just behind, kind of a number 10 attacking midfield role, or is he going to go with Marco Bueno up there up front with him, in kind of a 2 number 9? So I think that's going to be interesting. I think Carlos Salcido is going to be back from his suspension alongside Pereira. So I just can't split these teams. I just think they're pretty even. But like I said, I'm fascinated to see how America approach this game because, will they sit back again? I mean, it's the Centenario as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think over here in America, when that 3-0 happened, in my opinion, that was Chivas' best game of the season so far.
Yeah.
We don't know what to expect in the next 2. And that was Nacho Ambriz's America. Have there been massive differences between Nacho Ambriz America and Ricardo Antonio Lavolpe's America? I would say no, there haven't been massive differences. However, I think the second half against Pachuca could be a start of something new for America. Because that's kind of the style that La Volpe really enjoys, playing, the 3 center backs from the back who are able to sort of move the ball. Edson Alvarez was really impressive because he started as a right wing back, then he moved to the center back position and he looked quite well as a youngster in the team. And that's actually interesting. When La Volpe comes in, he starts giving chances to the youngsters like Gil Buron, Alvarez, there, and it kind of is working at the moment. Because America hasn't lost a single league game since his arrival. But, when I see America, it will depend a lot on what Darwin Quintero does. I think La Volpe was really anxious to have Quintero available. Now he has him available, and I think he could exploit that talent. And by the looks of it, Peralta's bench in America. The starter will be Silvio Romero. Silvio Romero will be the starting striker, and Silvio Romero has had phenomenal days under the guidance of La Volpe, even in Chiapas. He had a great season over there in Chiapas, and we'll see there. I mean, I think the question with Chivas that I have from my point of view is should Chofis be in the starting 11? Because I feel that when Chofis is in the starting 11, there's more fluidity up front, and of course that sense that the striker that's on top has to put him in, if it's Pulido, if it's Bueno, if it's Aldivar, and also what influence comes from Cisneros and Brizuela, because let's not forget, Brizuela scored a brace in that game against America at Azteca. If Brizuela is able to put the ball in, Cisneros also, Chivas has a great chance of getting taking this game.
Yeah, I think that's the other issue. Chofis is pretty interesting, but I can't see him playing on the wing for some reason. I think it's going to be definitely Brizuela who destroyed America in the league game, and Cisneros. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Chivas in the regular season created more chances than any other side apart from Monterrey. Monterrey actually created most chances, but they've not converted them. And Alan Pulido, even against Necaxa at the weekend, it was a weird game. He scored like that golazo, like from the free kick. It was an unbelievable free kick. But then at the same time, he spawned 2 really good other chances, which would have won Chivas the game. And I think that he's still not. I think he's doing well. I think he's trying hard, but he's not at the same level as he was when he played for Tigres before he left to Europe. And I think that Chivas, more than anything in this Liguilla, they need a striker who's going to put the ball in the net with more frequency than Pulido has so far.
It's gonna be good to see.
It is going to be good.
It's good. It's good. Actually, I mean, like you guys have said plenty about the matchup, but I think it's also like most of these other matchups. It's tough for me to predict how this one's going to end up. I see Chivas America at the same level. I see Necaxa and Pachuca at the same level. And you can say to an extent Leon and Tijuana too. So it's a tough one for me to kind of figure out how that's going to go. But it'll be interesting. Let's see how that first matchup is going to go in the Estadio Azteca. I think that'll be obviously like most of the league.
The big difference from last season is that America was able to close at Azteca. Now, of course, Almeida says that in both scenes it's kind of the same.
Yeah, that's a whole
same. Yeah, but I think it does influence. The Americanismo is present at Azteca, and it did help. It did help in that case that Gullit missed a PK because the intensity, the scene is different. It's different. I mean, and then let's see if they can take advantage of that.
Let's hope the field. Let's hope the field's all right after Monday Night Football.
That's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to León Tijuana. Cesar, preview for Tijuana. Obviously, you're there. Yeah. What are we expecting? Really quick. I think León is coming in, especially in this match, is coming in better prepared. Tijuana, I think, have lost the last 2 games. Almost worrying a couple fans that I've spoken to in the last 5 or 6 games. León, better prepared, still has not lost a game with El Bombero Torrente. Which I think it's
no, it's I mean, you if you look at someone who would just start watching Liga MX right now, they'd be like, oh, easy. Tijuana, they're the number 1 seed. León, they sneaked in at the last second. Yeah, obviously Tijuana should be the favorites. And I think if you were to look at the form from the last few matches, it would be tough to argue, to justify that. Tijuana has been a little worrisome recently. I mean, you could say, I think in the last match, I mean, the opponents they lost to, other than the Veracruz match, or they lost to Tigres, they lost to America. That's fine. But that last, loss to Veracruz, that was definitely a worrisome one. You could say that maybe it was because Dairo Moreno, who was hoping to be the leading goal scorer, and he ended up becoming the leading goal scorer in the league. A lot of the focus was on him, and he took a lot of shots, and so maybe that kind of distracted the attack. But I don't know, man. I think it's you look at the form that León has, like as you mentioned, they haven't lost a game in 10 straight matches, and a lot of the times, if a team has the right rhythm, momentum, heading straight into the Liguilla, that can no matter what seed you're in, whether it be number 1 or number 8, that could be. It can help you be very successful. So I'm still saying that I think I'm going with León in this series. I think that I know it's just they've been one of the more exciting teams to watch in the past couple months, and Tijuana has looked a little iffy, and I'm still not convinced by them defensively.
Well, I like that it's a healthy León, even though we've seen in the past. León coming in the 8th spot has won, the entire the championship. We've seen that before. León against Xolos, looking at just kind of some stats. Xolos hasn't won against the Esmeraldas in Estadio León. I think it's going to be very important in that first leg. But interesting to see, what a lot of people just kind of forgot about León. Saw they were playing well. It's going to take it a while. A few ties here at the end, not the greatest end. Also for León, but I guess especially against Cruz Azul. In the last
would it be the first time that they provide a little bit of a surprise in Liguilla after they sneak in at number 8?
That's normally how León wins championships there. Now no one expects them to do that, but I think that's going to be very, very good. Like I said, almost every one of these games. Let's switch over to Tigres and Pumas, which if I have to look at futbolistically, I would have to say that this is probably even though it's Tigres, just seeing those 2 teams, I'm like, I could just see 0-0 and a 1-0 in the second leg. Parking the bus, especially how Tuca is, and finishing it out. But Naive, ¿quién gana?
Well, this one is I think it's a fascinating series because a year ago this was a final in the 2015 Apertura. Palencia is a debutanto, como sea. So he's a new coach in the league, fresh new blood. And Tuca is, a viejo lobo de mar, how we say in Spanish. He's been here forever. So this is a moment where, when you see the names, you assume that Tigres is going to qualify. However, I think Pumas, has the potential to sort of get a good result here in Mexico City because they had a good home record. The only loss was against Tigres. But then you see Tigres and all these injuries that are coming, and the questionable games that they've had at El Volcán. It hasn't been a brilliant season at El Volcán for Tigres, where, they lost to Querétaro, they lost to Necaxa. Of course, Necaxa is the Cinderella story of the season. But, those results are not typical from Tigres. They had a tough time beating Puebla at El Volcán as well. At Cruz Azul, they even had a tough time with Cruz Azul at El Volcán. So I mean, I think here this is going to be a really close call. I mean, and I will go with Pumas.
I think that first match is key though. Just because especially so I think Pumas have been. I mean, it's pretty clear they've been underwhelming and pretty bad in their away matches. So I think that if they don't get a result in Mexico City, I'm unsure about how they'll do in Monterrey. So I think
Gignac has to heat up as well because I think the offense does depend on how Gignac is feeling.
If I remember correctly, Gignac hasn't scored since September. If I remember correctly, in a league match,
yeah.
Over 2 months now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bomboro Gignac. I haven't written that on Twitter forever now. I feel strange.
It's on that autosave. I'm gonna go with Tigres. That's it. That's all. I'm going with Tigres. We're gonna end the game. That's it. Tigres is gonna win. No bases on it. It's gonna be 0-0 and then 1-0, and Tigres is gonna win. Boring matchup. I'm gonna stick to that. Tom, Necaxa, like Cinderella. When I hear Cinderella, I don't think of Necaxa. But Necaxa and Pachuca, again, a team that Necaxa, you'd have told me, a month, 2 months ago that Necaxa was going to be in the Liguilla. It'd be like, all right, I guess. But what's going on, Tom?
No, I mean, I've watched Necaxa live a couple of times in the last month, and just highly impressed. Pancho Sosa has done an absolutely amazing job there. It's a really efficient team. I think it's really well organized. 1 defeat in the last 12. I mean, just have a think about that. I mean, the six games away from winning the league, and they've lost only 1 game of the last 12. I mean, this is a team I think has gone under the radar. This is a team absolutely in form. And Edson Push is had his red card taken away, so he can play as well. It's interesting. The team that sit back, reduce space, and obviously hit on the counter through mainly Push. But what's the other guy's name? Izihara.
Jesus Izihara. Yeah.
Izihara on the right wing. So I think they're a good team, and obviously Pachuca go into this last game as favourite. But I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Pachuca closed really well too. I mean,
yeah, they closed really well.
Solid team.
Pachuca, for me, they scored 36 goals over 17 games. I mean, I think they're the most balanced team in the league. You could argue they're the best team. They're the reigning champion. It's not a coincidence. They've got Pizarro back. I don't know. Pachuca, for me, if they want to have possession, they're good in possession. If you want to play them on the counter, they're good on the counter. They're possibly the most balanced team overall in the league. And for me, the best team to watch. I mean, I absolutely love watching Pachuca. I think they've got the individual talents, like obviously Lozano, and then Oreta Vizcaya, Franco Jara as well. You know what I mean? They've got these players that make you get on the edge of the seat. So I think you'd have to put Pachuca favourite, but honestly, I think this is going to be a cracking game, the same as Tijuana and León. Those two, I think them two are going to be absolutely great games. Go on, sorry.
I was just really going to say, I think if I were to look at these matchups, I think the one that I'm most excited about, I think it's Necaxa Pachuca. Like you said, it's just, you already said how organized Necaxa is. You already said how well they've done defensively, how they've been able to, as you mentioned too, just only been able to have 1 loss in those last 12 games, and then you throw in a Pachuca, who is just you got the Lozanos, you got the it's gonna be fascinating to see Pachuca's attack versus Necaxa's organized starting 11 and just see how those two clash. I'm very, very excited by this one.
Yeah, definitely.
They're all exciting. I was looking at it. There it is. One more time.
Real quick stat on the Pachuca Necaxa. Pachuca hasn't lost a single home game in 2016. Necaxa hasn't lost a single home game in 2016. If we include the Ascenso MX record. I mean, they didn't lose a single, and this is all just 1 year with Sosa, because Alfonso Sosa took over Necaxa in late 2015, basically after the 2015 Apertura in Ascenso MX. And then once he came in for the 2016 Clausura, he just transformed this whole team. There's I'm not going to say that the base is there, but there's several players that were part of that Ascenso MX, of the second division team, and are now in first division. So it's a whole process. I mean, I think it's remarkable the way that they handled the reinforcement issue, because bringing in Puch was huge. I mean, that's the best signing of the season, just because of what Necaxa has been able to do in this Apertura.
It's the midfield as well. There's the midfield three. They play almost like when they've got the ball 4-3-3. When they've not got the ball, pretty much a 4-5-1. Although Push is pushed further forward. But you got Gallegos, Michel Garcia, and Iturra. Three players that you don't. Most people wouldn't even know them, but honestly, watching them live, the industry that they have in that midfield, I mean, they're flying all over the place. You know
I think there's three Chileans in Necaxa, right? Because I think right, if I'm not mistaken, because it's Push, Iturra, and there's another one, Chilean Gallegos, or it's one of the starters actually. Yeah. And Iturra played in Spain. I mean, Iturra played in Rayo Vallecano, and also I think I remember him seeing in Rayo Vallecano. But right now it's really what's the word, fashionable to have Chilean footballers in your team, and that's a good route that Necaxa took by bringing in Puch.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to predictions, guys. Look at the CLC. Oh, four teams. That's it. Think about it.
All right.
Who do you got?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
It's gonna be the final four. All right, drum roll. It's gonna be Tigres. It's gonna be León. It's gonna be Chivas and Necaxa.
Tigres, León, Chivas,
and
Necaxa.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
I'm gonna go with León, Pumas, América, and Pachuca.
Hey, Manuel Iturra, Marcos González, and Felipe Gallegos. And Edson Puch.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
4 Chileans in the team, yeah.
4 Chileans, actually. All right, Tom?
León, Pachuca,
Everyone's got León.
Tigres, and las Chivas.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with León, Pachuca, Tigres. Dang it, Tom. Chivas. All 4, yeah. Tom's got my pick. Be interesting to see. All right, guys. I know we're running out of time. Tell us on the chat who you think is going to be the winner. Overall, with the 4 that we got like La Selección, Azteca, Cholos, Necaxa, Tigres, Chivas. Everyone's got Cholos on the chat. They're all telling me about that, but we'll see how it goes.
The key here for León is the lessons learned from the matches against Puebla and also the one in Cruz Azul, because they had the 2-0 lead and the team came back. Cruz Azul came back with 2-2. Also Puebla came back 2-2. And I think that's where Torrente has to learn. I mean, for example, there's a lot of questions in León about Maxi Morales. Should he be participating, considering that he's openly stated to Argentine press that he wants to go back over there? I don't think that's good for León, looking at the state that it is in right now. Boselli was off against Cruz Azul. Boselli has those misses.
He was still able to do what he did with his 2 left feet.
And the thing with Cholos is just recuperating that essence and that it showed at the beginning of the season, because they were unstoppable. I mean, and they have a good front 4. I mean, front 3, Dairo, Caraglio, and Aviles Hurtado. If those guys are on their day, I mean, it's really hard to stop that. And we haven't seen the best from those 3 in the last weeks or in the last month or so, I would say. So I think that's something else to keep an eye. But the Torrente fever is real. I think that's going to play a big role here in this series. I mean, they even selling the camiseta at the León store now, at the León the shop.
It's a story. I mean, Dena leaving, it was just horrible, playing horrible. The last of the league, and Torrente coming in. I mean, as a coach, just as least another 10. I mean, if he's watching, he's like, I don't even know. I feel bad for him. I mean, I didn't like him. Obviously in what he did, and he should have been fired. And I totally agree. But then, just as a coach, as a player, as someone, as human being, just seeing another team completely different, playing it differently. And obviously, there were some injuries there. We were not.
Just quick one about León. It's quite interesting from a tactical and statistical point of view. Least possession in the league. You could argue it's the most direct team in the league. Highest percentage of long balls as a percentage of kind of total passes, and fewest passes.
Fewest
of
passes.
any other team,
which is not a typical León team.
No, I think I think it does have something to do with Bielsa. I mean, it's very vertical. It's no nonsense. And it's get the ball forward. I think it's get the ball to Montes and Elias Hernandez, and obviously both really good crosses of the ball, and then get it forward to obviously Cano and Boselli. I think but what I like about it is it's like with Tigres, they've got a very defined style. You can say the same thing about Leon, although they're pretty much opposite in terms of the Liga MX.
Guys, you're gonna see this. Leon beats Cholos. Just hear me out.
We all agree with you on that one.
No, I'm giving you what's gonna happen. Leon beats Cholos. Piojo gets mad, right? The U.S. national team takes Piojo. All right, forget this Arena, Bruce Arena, and it's Piojo. A year, Osorio gets sacked. Torrente goes to the national team. Mexico versus U.S. Piojo versus Torrente.
Buenas noches.
And it's over. All right, you know what? That's our cue to go. Mr. Naive, since you came a little late, go ahead and close us off. We'll go ahead
With
and
a
do
rap.
a background music for you.
What?
Can you hear me by
Background music.
Enrique Iglesias?
Right. I knew there was a song that was called that. I mean, I thought I was messing up. But yeah, I mean, enjoy the holiday season. The holiday spirit is starting in the U.S. I mean, and what better way to start than with a football game with America,
family
Chivas,
arguing over the Thanksgiving table.
Chivas, America. That's gonna be fabulous. You know, the turkey on the table and be like, dude, estás mal. ¿Por qué le vas a este equipo, man? I can't say that. I can't say
All the
groserías
political
on
stuff
there.
that's gonna come
I
out.
can't say groserías on there. So I mean, but yeah, keep it safe and enjoy the turkey, and then enjoy the Black Friday. Do some shopping.
There it is. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Naive, Tom, Cesar, and thank you all on the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll see you guys next on Monday for another edition of Monday Night Football here with the Mexican Soccer Show.